Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out this October 2nd, so leading up to its release, I'm going to be going back through the entire DCEU and reviewing each and every film one by one. And we're going to start it off with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, a very controversial film, definitely a mixed bag when it comes to how the audiences feel, how the critics feel, all that fun stuff. I know you guys want to know what I think of this film, and I promise you we will find out, but before we do so, thank you for clicking on this video. This is CertainVids, a channel where we like to talk anything and everything movies. A lot. And this is my review of Man of Steel. Let's begin. What is good, CV Nation? Welcome back to another upload. Today we are going to be discussing Man of Steel, but before I give you my thoughts on this film, jump down into the comment section and let me know what you think about this movie. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you just in the middle on it? How does this compare to all the other Superman films that we've gotten throughout the years, as well as all the other DCEU films that obviously we didn't have at the time of this film's release, but now looking back on the entire thing, how does this compare? And with that down, let's jump right into it. So, quick backstory time. I saw this film, obviously, in 2013 when it came out, and I was a very different type of moviegoer back then. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and ever since then, every time I've rewatched it, it's always been kind of forgettable. That's not to say I don't like it, because I never said that. It's just that even now, watching this film, it's been like 2 months since my last watch, and I was still genuinely surprised by a lot of things. However, I can definitely say with certainty that I really like this film. Now, a lot of people tell me that it's like one of the most underrated comic book movies ever, that it's one of the best comic book movies of all time, and while I do disagree with that notion, I do 100% think that this is a very good film, one of the better films in the DCEU. I think part of that is because Henry Cavill just is Superman. He is probably my favorite actor to have played this character. Confession time, I actually am not a Superman fan. I never was. I never really liked his comics growing up. I wasn't as invested in this character as I was many others. But a great thing I can say about Man of Steel is that this film really makes me like Superman. This film makes me care about Clark Kent. This film is able to make me empathize with Clark Kent. A lot of scenes between Clark and Jonathan Kent, they're all so powerful, and I think because they show his backstory in a way that is kind of like flashbacky, it's not exactly an origin story, but it also kind of is. It just all comes together to make a Superman that I can relate to, which is actually my biggest problem with the character of Superman. I've never been able to relate to him, but this film tries its hardest to make me be able to relate to him, and it succeeds. I also think the character of Superman has a great tonal balance in this film, and Henry Cavill is able to portray both sides of the character. They're going for like this dark, more grim take on this character, and he pulls that off. And while there isn't that much of this other side, which is that fun, lovable Boy Scout personality that Superman is known for, there's still hints of it. And it's a nice blend. It's not a perfect blend. It's not the blend that I would make, but it works well enough. Besides Henry Cavill, I actually really like Lawrence Fishburne in this film because he's great in everything, and I also really like Amy Adams in this film because she's great in everything. And I really enjoyed Diane Lane as Martha. These 4 performances I really enjoyed. Other than that, the cast isn't anything stellar. However, I will say General Zod is such a freaking cool villain, and Michael Shannon just gives such an amazing performance. The score has actually not been mentioned that much. I never see people talking about it really. This is a very not talked about enough score. Hans Zimmer is probably my favorite composer working today, and something I love about him is that he takes these simple ideas, but given a full orchestra, he just amplifies it like tenfold, and he makes this memorable music that you just can't seem to forget. A really cool thing I noticed about the editing in this film is that the main theme that you know from Man of Steel, which is like one of the greatest movie themes ever in my opinion, that main theme, it actually doesn't play until the very end. Up until then, it's a great soundtrack, it's a great score in of itself, but that main theme that just freaking rocks, it actually doesn't play until the very end, and it offers a little bit of build-up so that when it finally hits, you know, like rewatching the film, you know what the score is like, and you're waiting for it to play, and when it does play, it sends goosebumps everywhere, and it is freaking awesome. I can talk about this score all day long. Long story short, it is fantastic. And while I don't exactly love the action in this film, it isn't as engaging as I would like it to be. Credit where credit is due, the visual effects are remarkably great. This is some top-notch stuff, way better than Justice League. I mean, they were crisp. The cinematography in a lot of Superman flying scenes, yes, it's CGI, but I mean, CGI cinematography is still cinematography, and they pulled off a way to really get you immersed in the experience, and I gotta say, visual effects were a big plus. But like I said about the action, it isn't as engaging as I would like it to be, and that can be said about a lot of other points in the movie. It can get a little bit boring at times. I started to feel a little bit sleepy-eyed, kind of drowsy. There are other points where it definitely reels you back in and wakes you up, but those boring scenes were noticeable, and they kinda got me down, not gonna lie. Also, while I greatly respect their decision to spend a lot of time on Krypton at the beginning, really make you care about these characters, kind of get you enveloped in the story before it all blows up, I really wish that same type of treatment had been given to other points in the film that are important to the story, but the film just kind of rushes through, you know? You don't spend that much time on a lot of important key details, and it just kind of flies through some things that I really don't think should have been flown through. And pretty much every movie's got them, so exposition dumps, they are a thing, they exist, that's all I'm gonna say about that. So overall, Man of Steel, I had a fantastic time with. I will say though, I didn't like it as much as I did the last time I watched it. It's not like I hate the movie now or anything, I just did notice a couple more flaws, some things I was probably overlooking back in April, but now when I watched it, I was like, you know what, I just can't overlook this. This is a problem for me. But with all of that said, I'm going to give Man of Steel a B+. I'm going to stick with the I don't know recommendation for now, and it gets 3 out of 5 amusement stars. Like I said, boring things aside, kind of engaging things aside, it all averages out to make a pretty decently entertaining film. The I don't know recommendation, it's kind of weird because I rarely give this out. I only really need to give it out when I just can't figure out a good recommendation to give a particular movie. And in this case, if you are a really big comic book fan, you really care about how Superman is portrayed on the big screen, this may not be the best option for you because this is a different take on the character. This isn't the fun, lighthearted Superman you know from the comics. There's hints of that, like I said, but it's definitely a more darker, different path, a different route that they're taking with this, or that they took with this, because this whole thing kind of came to an end. However, you can still be a big die-hard comic book fan or not. If you don't care about the way Superman is depicted on the big screen, then this might work for you. If you don't need the comics to be exactly like the movies and vice versa, then this movie will probably be good for you. And that B+, more good than bad. Some bad, and it is a little bit heavy on the bad side, but the good does outweigh it. However, those are just my opinions on Man of Steel. What do you think about this movie? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you went on to enjoy this video, click that like button. It helps out. Click that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you stay up to date on all future content. I do want to give a quick shout out to my friends GingerCat59 and Movie Time. These were the winners of my Spider-Man Trivia Round 2 that I did a couple weeks back. The prize was a shout out, so feel free to go check those guys out. They are pretty well versed on their Spider-Man knowledge. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Until then, have a great rest of your day and stay positive.